Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be back here at NFT.NYC. This is such a great conference. There's so much value here, not just what you get from the speakers and the stage, but what you get from the hallways and those conversations. So I always encourage people, go out there, have those conversations just like you are in here, not just listening, because some of the most valuable relationships I have are forged during those. So I won't hit this because she hit, the sort of highlights on this. I won't kind of talk about myself too much. Big thing, as she mentioned, since then have sold a best-selling book, The Everything Token, which demystifies NFT and blockchain for everyday consumers, as well as helps out people who are in the space and provides a framework for success in this crazy new world. Before I dive into what I'm going to talk about this year, I want to talk a little bit about what I talked about last year, which was, the TLDR. If you want to see it, it's on the NFT NYC YouTube channel. But 4 things I hit on last year for brands that are coming to the blockchain. Make sure there's a brand purpose. The blockchain must solve a problem. Work with the right partners, many of whom I'm sure are in this room now or out here today. And be thoughtful about your go-to-market strategy. That one's a fancy way of saying, look, know your size, scale, and scope, and understand sort of, if you're selling pendants to CryptoPunks, sure, a 5-figure price tag makes sense. If you're Nike selling boxes of digital shoes to uncapped people, it's gonna be 100,000 of them, $20 makes sense. So understanding those things and making sure the blockchain actually works to solve a problem. So as I talk today, I'm gonna talk about this idea of, sorry, there's a little delay there, this idea of the NFT staircase. It's what we put in the book as a framework, and I'm gonna concentrate on the middle 3 steps today. So to go through the staircase for people who haven't read the book, ownership, I think we all know if we're here, NFTs provide infallible proof of digital ownership, something we've never had before. Utility, what you program against those, right? If it's a digital asset, super easy to program against. If it's a John Deere tractor or a toaster, you can't really program utility against that and keep that going. Identity, which we'll talk about as sort of unlocking some intangible brand value, goes along with community. And then evolution. What does that sort of identity and community tell you about it? So to run through this in a digital example for the people who are here, you think about Nike, you own your digital box of shoes. The utility is you got a drop of them. In fact, I'll talk about it here in a sec, but I'm wearing those shoes that I got to have in an unbotted drop. Identity, I am a Nike owner. Community, obviously there's a really big community there. Or if you think about it in the real world, think about like a Harley Davidson, for example. You are owning a Harley Davidson motorcycle. The utility is the freedom of riding it. Identity, you start wearing sort of those jackets. I use this example with big brands, a jacket, a shirt, community, riding with more people. So as we go into the sort of that, like I said, we will skip the ownership step and let's talk about utility. Obviously, access is something we all know about. Ticketing to physical and digital spaces. That digital space will come back in handy when we talk about community. Digital exclusives, I kind of hit the Nike example, so I won't go through that one again. But 2 things I want to talk about to this audience, which hit both a consumer side as well as the people, if you're in this room, pitching those big brands. A lot of times we talk about how fast the blockchain is or what it does. And the truth is nobody cares about what is powering the technology. They care that it works. I had someone ask me recently, why would I pay thousands of dollars for an NFT? And I kind of told them they're looking at it all wrong. The NFT is just the technology that powers what you have. It powers the utility. So to give an example in current world, which I sometimes give to brands, I would pay, 1 QR code, which is the power of a ticket, sort of tech that powers a ticket. It goes to the Super Bowl. I'd pay $10,000 for that. Another one will go to a regular season baseball game. I'll pay $12 for that. Same technology, different utility can change the value proposition associated with it. So understanding sort of how you're pitching a brand, and if you're on the brand side, not thinking about that aspect of it, but thinking about the aspect of what it does for your customers. But the one I want to concentrate really hard on this slide is on that concept of third-party utility. It's programming against things. I really think this is the first place we're going to see brands dip their toes in. And again, on the brand side, a lot of people think we have to do a full NFT program. On the people pitching the brand, they're pitching this full soup to nuts, set up a blockchain, you want a loyalty program. Third-party utility kind of goes as follows, to use a Web 2 hypothetical example. I used to work with Nestle. I used to work at Nestle. Hot Pockets was one of the brands I worked with. Now, Hot Pockets, unsurprisingly, targets gamers. If they wanted to reach gamers, they don't have to have a whole NFT, Web 3 total program that goes together. They could say, look, if you bought the latest Fortnite skin, assuming those are NFTs, connect your wallet, set up a simple wallet connect, give a discount, get their customer directly into their funnel right there. The customer wins because, look, if I'm a gamer, I am a gamer, give me the free Hot Pockets. Love that. So I think that third-party utility concept is something that'll be overlooked that we'll start to see, and you're able to find those people a little bit tighter and actually ensure you're hitting the right consumers. It doesn't eliminate traditional Web2 marketing, but it does mean that you have the opportunity to reach them in a new and meaningful way. Identity, I hit on it a little bit. This is where that intangible brand value starts to unlock. Now look, identity is on a spectrum where you look at like these people who are dressed up as their pudgy penguins at a party, Riggs and Dow Jones, if people know them in this room. A friend of mine, Sansa, who wears it around his neck as his digital identity. Jimmy Fallon had his ape as a PFP for a while and followed me, a nobody on X because I had a Bored Ape and he had a Bored Ape because of that shared identity. How do you get people and turn super fans from your brand the way you see a sports team or a CrossFitter or a Star Wars fan, right? If I'm walking through the Denver airport and I see someone with an Ohio State shirt, I yell OH. I-O, there we go. We got 2 Buckeyes in the front row. I get the I-O immediately back because we have a shared identity. We might not, I happen to know these people. You might not even know that person in the airport, but you do have that shared sense of identity. So how do you level that up? Because again, identity is a spectrum. You look at somebody who owns a Jeep, they're placing ducks on Jeeps around the country. They love their Jeep. They're doing the Jeep wave. Someone who owns a Honda Pilot, maybe not quite as much. And I think the answer to that in a lot of ways is community and how you build it. The reason why identity goes before community is a lot of times buying something is in effect, at a small level, an act of identity. You know, you think of James Clear in Atomic Habits, if you've read that. He talks about when you're developing new habits, if you want to work out, just say, I am a person who works out, right? I am a person who. And again, using my own example, I'm a person who owns a Honda Pilot. Now, I'm not over the moon about my Honda Pilot. I don't look for other Honda Pilot people. I don't do the Honda Pilot wave. But how could you encourage people to do that? Well, you give them a reason to convene, right? And so this is a super extreme example, like you see Gary Vaynerchuk here, showing up to a digital space that I host with my co-host Chris, as well as, you know, showing VCon where you have this in real life experience. You don't have to host a mega conference or even show up digitally in that way in order to build community, but you certainly can do it in digital spaces like Discord. I saw this when I was the community lead at Starbucks Odyssey. Just by giving people a reason to show up every day, just by giving people a reason to show up every month when we would have an event, we would bring in the person who invented the pumpkin spice latte or somebody else that was super noteworthy within the Starbucks ecosystem. They would show up, hundreds of people, listening, showing up, and developing these relationships. And the more they showed up, the more they met each other. It happened so much that at the end of Starbucks Odyssey, they were giving 20 people who were their top members a free trip to Costa Rica, all inclusive, and they were allowed to bring a +1. We saw people from that community not bring their friends, not bring their family, bring other people from that community they have never met in real life to Costa Rica with them because they developed that. The reason why I say intangible brand value is that you can only sell so many more shoes, so many more cups of coffee, so many more Honda Pilots, but you can sell brand identity. And it's something that you can give value to the people and create this actual two-way interaction where they get value from you by bringing them these exclusive token-gated special things, and you get value from them. And along the way, the better the community you build, the more likely someone else builds third-party utility. I won't go through this list because it's just hey, look, we're just getting started with this one. There's rewards program, credentialing, all these different ways you can build around the NFT staircase. But what I will say, because my editor would kill me if I didn't do this, is I will show my book. So if you find it interesting to look down this staircase, you want to hear more about that ownership layer, that evolution layer, case studies, examples, both new and old that go through this, available everywhere books are sold. It was a bestseller. And if you're going to a breakout session, not encouraging anyone to leave because Matt and Bella are awesome, so kind of railroading myself, but like I would stick around because they're great. But if you come to my breakout session, I'm giving away some signed books there as well. So look, appreciate everyone. Really appreciate NFT.NYC for having me today. I love this conference every year. I'm grateful. I'm sure I'll be back next year. And thanks to everybody who attended. Appreciate you very much.